Welcome to the Engine Markets training session. Meanwhile, others are joining in. We will start with our today's topic. Today's topic is all about market overview. So the market overview section we see at Engine Markets, we are going to explore that. Then we will talk about monthly SIP tool and the comparisons of the SIP while using the compare section. So these are the key topics we are going to discuss for today, and then we are over to the Q&A section, so that if you have any questions or any queries, you can either write us on the chat box or verbally, and we will address that up. So let's get ahead with this session. Just a second. So I hope my engine markets screen is visible. And yeah, so within the screen, here what you can see is the overview section. And within the overview section, this is where you can take a look towards the entire markets. So within the market levels, the Indian equity sectors. So let's say we want to compare multiple market levels in one particular tab. So how we are going to do that? All we need to do is just click on those we want to compare. So I'm just going to show you an example here. So for an example, if I want to compare Nifty 50 with BSE Sensex and BSE 500, I can just click on it and they get updated into this market chart with different sets of levels. So you can see the levels are different here, and you can even rebase this up, rebase them up. So if you rebase it, you will see it starts from one particular point from 100 and ends into one point, which shows you the return series of here. So basically, you can compare multiple market levels. For an example, if I want to compare it from BSE large cap, mid cap, I can easily do that just by clicking on them. And even for Indian equity sectors, it works in a very similar way. All you need to do is just click on the BSE. If I want to compare, all of them or some of them in a BSE indices, I can just click on them, and that gets easily compared into the system. Now here, there are a couple of things. Within the comparisons, you don't even need to remove the BSE sectors here. Like, this chart is altogether dynamic. All you need to do, if you want to just check Nifty 50 with S&P BSE Finance, you can easily just click them up to see the comparisons between only Nifty 50 and S&P BSE Finance. So this is a specific hack you can do, which will help you to just recognize between these indices. You do not have to remove the indices from here. You just have to click and unclick, and it easily gets updated into the system. Now, heading over to the NSE indices as well. So let's say I want to just compare NSE indices. I can easily click on one of them, like Nifty Pharma, Nifty IT, and that also gets updated. So here in this tab, let's say we have a scenario. We want to check from 2020 till today what has been the case for these all indices. So I can easily do that just by clicking on this, right? And I can easily change the date sets. So if I go for 2020, the March 23rd, and then compare with each other, you can easily see they start from one particular point, and the highest accumulated value is by Nifty Auto. So here you can easily see that Nifty Auto in this entire selection had the 179.42% return set. So this starts from one particular point, which is from 100. It is rebased. You can either remove the rebased and see the market levels from here. To rebase helps you to actually compare the return series of any particular indices you select in the market levels. So this is what basically it for the market levels and the Indian equity sectors. And even if you want to compare in the world markets with Indian sectors, you can use that as well. All you need to do is just click on it, Dow and Jones, Nasdaq, and you can easily see that the comparisons is actually added between Dow and Jones, Nasdaq, and the Indian equity sectors market levels as well. So here you can easily recognize. So let's say if I click on this, there's another process I'm following, and I can easily compare Nifty 50 versus Dow and Jones versus Nasdaq. So that's pretty much it. Whenever you want to compare it, and within the comparisons of the world market, we have given couple of parameters here. for the countries, so which includes the France, the USA, and these are all YTD. So these are YTD parameters, year to date. If you want to change it to month to date, you can do that as well, and you can see for month to date, actually Hong Kong has been a clear winner. So that's pretty much it when you are checking out for the world equity markets. We have also given one important thing. So if you want to check out for the best 10 NSE sectors or the best 10 BSE sectors, so whenever you toggle it, you will see the best sectors in these categories. So for an example, for BSE for 12 month, you can see the power has been the highest, contributor, and you can even screenshot this up. So to screenshot this entire best and the worst, all you need to do is just click on it. You can screenshot it as a JPEG image, and also you can download it as a PDF document. So it's pretty useful because it gets downloaded as a PDF document. When you see the best 10 sectors in a PDF, it's pretty useful as a PDF button. So that's how it looks like, the best 10 BSE sectors with the particular 12 months chart. And here you can change the range as well, from 12 month to 6 month, 3 months, and even the 1 month as well. Similarly, you can do the screenshot for the worst sectors, and also for the NSE indexes. We have also given the similar thing. You just have to toggle around between BSE and NSE. And if you want to screenshot this entire data sets, right, you can even do that. So this is a screenshot image we have given. So this particular button is actually given in any many tabs here, even here, which is actually used to screen to actually take a screenshot of that particular set of a data sets. So this is a screenshot of the Nifty indices with the best sectors in the 12 months period given here in the system. So that's basically it when we are looking towards the particular Indian equity sectors and comparing them. And what you can do here is that whenever you want to take a data set of indices, like let's say you want to have data sets of all the selected indices in one single tab in an Excel format. There's a button called this CSV button, which is export indices in CSV. This will help you to download all these selected indices in one single tab. So let's say we are taking a use case. Let's say we are going for 2012, March 2012, and then we take these data sets, right, and we download this as an CSV. So if we download these, all these indices with the data sets will be here in the system. Now these are pretty useful. These are the entire levels of all the indices in one single tab. So I hope my Excel screen is visible to everyone. If not, please let me know. And within this, you can see the data sets given here, which starts from the 2nd March till today, till 17th November. So that's basically it. If you want some customized analysis, if you want that index data in one single shot, this is a great way to take that data as in an Excel format. So that's one very useful thing. And another thing is the economic data. So we have also given the economic data here, which what you can do is you can either change the country. So first we will talk about India. You can see these are the macroeconomic data given here. So if you want to check the historicals of India, historical data set of the macroeconomic data of India, you can do that just by clicking on this See History. Once you click on this See History, you can see the entire data sets of the government bond tenure. And if you want to download this in an Excel format, we have given this as well. So there are two things you can do here. One is a download button, which will help you to download the data sets in Excel, and another is a screenshot of this particular image. So if you are interested in taking a screenshot of this for to use for some report purposes, you can do that as well. So this is the I hope this screen is visible to everyone. This is the government bond tenure historical data, which starts from 94, and it is given till the current date. So here you can see the lots of data sets historicals are available. And accordingly, what you can do is you can download these data sets not just for government bond, but also for other macroeconomic parameters. Just a second. So here within the parameter, let me just refresh this up. So okay. So here, yeah, here what we are taking a look towards is, the historicals of the macroeconomic data. So, let's say I want to compare the government bond, current government bond of India with other country. If I want to compare that, all you need to do is just click on this comparison tab, and you can easily see the comparisons between other countries. So here, all you need to do is just hover your mouse and you can see the comparisons and the government bond rate. And here you can, even take the screenshot of the same. So we have given the screenshot. Plus, for any historicals, this is a small button we have given here. So let's say unemployment rate, you click on it, you can see the data sets. For even for the interest rate, you can see the data sets and download them as an historical data sets. So that's basically it for the macroeconomic, parameter. You can even download these, these data sets which are given here in an Excel just by clicking on it. So if I click on it, it gets downloaded as a CSV file, and that's how the CSV file looks like. So just a second. And within the CSV file, all the data sets which are given. So I hope this is visible to everyone. If you require such a data sets in an Excel format, we have given the last update and the value for the data sets, which you can take into consideration for India. So here, if you want to change the country, just a second. So if you want to change the country in the macroeconomic parameter, you can change that just by clicking on this button, and you can change any particular set of a country. Let's say we go for United Kingdom. You can see the data sets for United Kingdom and download them as a CSV file. So any particular set of a country like United States as well, that you can easily check in the system, and that's, efficiently you can take it for any particular country. So this is the overview of the entire, market charts. There are a couple of things what you can do is, let's say you want to actually wrap this entire, details, whatever selections we have made, like BSE 500, Nifty Next 50, we are doing some comparisons here, and we want to, show it in one single sheet. So what you need to do is, you need to just click on this market wrap. So this market wrap will basically take this all data sets what we have selected in one single PDF report. So all you need to do is just click on this market wrap, and then you can see the market wrap. This is whatever selections we have taken into consideration. Every selection is actually been added, and that is how you can display this up. Even the, equity sector selection of NSE instead of the BSE is shown here. So you can toggle around with BSE and NSE, and you can take a market wrap of both of them. Even for the key macroeconomic data parameter, if you change from India to United States, United States will be visible as the market wrap captures the data sets which you have selected here in the overview. So now let's get ahead with another, very important function is the monthly SIP tool. So, we have completed the market wrap. So for monthly SIP tool, there are several ways. One way is to directly head over to the tool section. So this tool section is pretty useful. You can just go ahead in the tool section, and you can actually, run the monthly SIP for funds, for stocks, and even for the indices. To run that, all you need to do is, let's say we search for a fund like SBI uh, blue chip, right? So if you search it, you just type it in, and once you know that this is the fund, you can actually change the start date. So you can have your own start date accordingly. And once you select the start date, you can see the installment value, and you can run the SIP. So the installment value you can change. Let's say we keep it as 10,000 and we run it. So once we run it, we can see the XIRR, the installments, number of installments since 2010, the invested value, and the final value. Now here, what you can do is, you can actually see a couple of things. One important thing is the monthly SIP breakdown. So this is a monthly breakdown since the date of, 1st February. You can see the NAV value, the units, the invested, and the value which has been accumulated. And you can, see the entire breakdown in one single shot. So you can just scroll this in, and the entire breakdown is shown. Now, important thing here is that you can actually, compare the, not just with the chart, which is a very useful thing, that if I just want to compare the SIP value with the invested value, I can just remove this NAV just by clicking on it. So this is a very useful thing, because if I want to just check the SIP and the invested value. This has been the invested value in green, and this has been the SIP value in the in this particular blue region. Now the thing is that if I want to make a PDF report out of this, what I can do is I can click on this PDF. There are two sets of PDF. One is a multiple pager PDF and another is a one pager. So I will show you the multiple pager first, which will include this monthly SIP breakdown. So if I click on this, now the important thing here is whichever PDF report we generate, every PDF report will only show things which you have selected in the analytics. Like for an example, we have removed the NAV value in the analytics. That's why we can only see the SIP and the invested value. And all the dates, the monthly details, the installment, and the XRR are given here. So this is the first page of the SIP report, and you can even see the monthly SIP breakdown if you scroll this down. So it starts from February 2010 till till the current date. So now this is pretty useful, and also you can download this data sets in an Excel format. So we have also given an Excel format here to download it. So I'll show you this engine markets SIP Excel data sets. Just a second. And in this Excel, you can see this is the this is the monthly SIP breakdown basically, which we have given in Excel. Now, if you want to use such data sets, I hope my Excel is visible. I'm just taking a look. And here in the data sets, you can see it starts from 1st Feb, ends 17th November, and all the all the data sets for the price, the the units, the invested and the value. So invested value and the current value. So it's pretty useful if you want to take it in an Excel format and analyze it your own. And another great thing about this is that we have this final SIP value uh, for that particular set of a month. Now here you can easily see that the 1st Feb, the final value is 40 lakhs 49,318 rupees. Whereas if you change the final value, like if you change the start date, like for the 4th Feb, this would be the final value, which is actually 40 lakhs 46,000. So if you click on it, you can see there is a change. So that's basically it, to actually help you to determine what are the dates and what are the final value if you have a different start date. So if you have a different start date of, let's say, 16th, you will definitely have a different set of a final value. And if you click on the 16th, you will see that start date has changed. So initially we had a start date of 1st February. Right now we are having a start date of 16th Feb, which shows you the SIP value for different set of the start dates, which actually changes the final value. And then you can make a PDF report or a one pager. So I've not shown the one pager, but one pager only includes the first page. So this is the first page of that particular set of a report which can be generated, and it's a pretty seamless report if you want to generate for a mutual fund, for a stock, and even for an index. Let's go for an example of a stock. You can load in a stock as well. All you need to do is just type a name of the stocks. So let's say Tata Power, right? And once you type that stock, the same analytics for the fund which we were running, you can see the XRR, the start date. You can change the start date, the end date, and you can run the SIP and generate particular set of a report. So let's say we generate a report for Tata Power. You can see this is the this is the report which is generated from the system. And even for an index, let's say we run that. So for an index, similarly, you just have to click on this, and if you want to load for an index of Nifty 50 or Nifty TRI, I can easily do that. And I can easily have a start date, particularly 2010 January 1st. You run the SIP and you can see the XRR and make a report out of the same. So this is pretty useful because it seamlessly generates an index report, a stock report, and even a fund level report for a monthly SIP analysis. Now, let's say we want to compare funds, or even a stock or even an index. So how do we compare? How do we compare monthly SIP for index and for a fund? So what do you need to do is just head over to the compare section. So the compare section is pretty useful for comparison of any funds, stock, and even indices. So all you need to do is first add in the funds in the main list. To add the funds, there are two ways. One way is to individually add them up. So like these. Other way, if you have some saved list with you for the funds, you can directly say add in those saved list, and the funds are added into the system. And there is another another very quick way is to add an entire SEBI category. So let's say I'm adding a SEBI category of pharma funds. So they can easily get added of all the pharma with against the mid caps in one single place. Now here in this case, if I just keep these all pharmas, and I want to run monthly SIP comparisons between these pharma category, I can easily do that just by clicking on this monthly SIP. Now these are the comparison of the funds with with the categories which I've added into the system. So let's say you can see the XRR, you can change the dates, like you can go to 2020, 2021, you can change the installment, and you can run the SIP. Now this is the XIRR, and this is the final value given. And let's say you want to compare it vis-a-vis a benchmark, let's say Nifty Pharma, right? All you need to do is just go here, add other items. So add other items is where we have given select index. So you can click on this. You can go ahead with the suitable index which you want to compare with. And once you go monthly SIP again, you can see this is this is the Nifty Pharma is having a negative XIRR negative 1.93, and whereas you see other funds which has a positive XIRR. So you can change these date sets. You can run it for a particular set of a period, and then you can see the monthly SIP value. Now here, if you think that let's say I want to know, I want to run a detailed SIP analysis for Nippon India Pharma. All you need to do is just click on this piggy bank button, because you already have a start date, you already have an end date. You can change an installment date to, let's say, 8,000. Just a second. And once you run this, you just need to click on this run detailed SIP analysis. Once you run it, all the details which you have added, like the installment, the start date, the end date, and the run SIP, everything is given here. And all you need to do is just click on this PDF button, which will help you to generate that particular set of a report. So it's pretty useful whenever you want to compare particular set of an index, even a fund in a one particular shot, which you can also download as an Excel report. So we have given this Excel based exportable function, which actually takes into consideration the XIRR and the final value for any particular set of a mutual fund added into the main list. So just a second, I'll show you this Excel which shows you the details. Yeah, so these are the details, and which also shows when we are running this SIP analysis from what particular date, and the the invested value, like 8,000. So 8,000 monthly SIP which we are going ahead with, and the XIRR for the particular funds. So these are the final value given here in the system. So one important thing for for consideration for monthly SIP is you can only do comparison for a minimum common period. So you can see we are not going beyond 2019. The reason behind this is that when you go into the main list, right, you will see funds which are quite young. Like if I remove some of the younger funds like this, like let's say, the youngest fund is 6 years. When you run the monthly SIP here, you can see now you can go further beyond 2019 and 2016, which is a useful way to know that why we are not going beyond, because you can easily compare between all the funds regardless of the age. So here you can see the XIRR for the longer period for these longer aged funds, and you can see the final value where you can run the detailed SIP analysis on. So that is it for the today's session, and we can go ahead with the Q&A. So if you have any questions regarding this session or any other topic, please let us know.
Whom do you want to speak to, sir? Correct.
Yes. Do you have any questions, sir?
There is a question on the chat about doing rolling analysis for SIP investments. So we don't show that. And the reason for that is, of course, with rolling analysis, we need some some kind of standardization. Now, obviously, if you look at rolling returns, there is usually a 1 year period or a 2 year period that rolls forward in time. For rolling returns of SIP, we don't believe that that would probably be the right thing to do, because when you run an SIP, it's always based on a start and end date. Now, having said that, we can look at various different start dates. For example, running the SIP for 5 years and then moving ahead 1 month and then checking the next 5 years. But again, those periods will be different, and the comparisons may not be may not be correct, because it's not a standardized time period. So it'll become very dependent on the time period itself. With rolling analysis, generally speaking, to be able to look at a chart and make sense of it, you would need a standardized way to calculate it. So which is not affected by compounding effects of start and end prices. So we don't show rolling analysis of SIP for that reason. But if you want, you can obviously do a standardized rolling analysis in the compare section or in the individual security analysis sections for mutual funds, portfolios, or stocks. There's another question saying for the compare section, PDF report is not possible. Okay, so the SIP tab in the compare section, this is something that has an Excel report. Where if we could go to the monthly SIP tab. Okay, so we have an Excel report. We don't have a PDF for this, but yes, we can. We will note this down as yeah, that's a good idea. We can definitely add that. Yes, all our so there's a question about whether a recording of this session will be available. Yeah, of course it will be. Just allow us a day or two, and they're all updated on our YouTube channel. Umair, if you could just show them in the platform on the top right. There's a link for videos. If you click on that, it will show up in the webinars playlist. So this is last week, and you'll see an update of this entire session as well. Yeah, so compare section drawdowns. Yes, so this is something we are working on, and you should expect to do. You should expect to see a drawdown tab in the compare section soon. So if you do have specific differences that you found, do please just write to support@engineresearch.com. Our data provider is CMOTS, which used to be Capital Line formerly. So generally speaking, there shouldn't be that many differences. The inception dates are typically set to the time the NAV has started, so it's easier for you guys to pick and choose your funds. But if you do find specific differences, do let us know, and we can obviously check it out and let you know if there is a mismatch on our side, or if the data that we are getting is in fact correct. So please just write us a quick email, and we can take it from there. There's another question saying, can you please explain the last 12 months tab? So Umair, if you just go there, so it's pretty straightforward. Basically, in this particular comparison, we've got 5 funds, and it is showing you the months, the past 12 months of these returns of these 5 funds. This is just a visual way to kind of look at how the last year has done. So again, you can see the top 2 funds have had 4 positive months. The one at the bottom, Nifty Pharma, has 1 down month. So this is just a visual way of quickly looking at past years, a snapshot of past year's performance for any list of funds, basically. So it has limited use, but there are times when you can, take a screenshot or just to make a point about recent performance of the funds in your list. So there's a question saying, is there a feature where we get to know the final return of a fund where SIP is run for 1 year and then hold the sum for the next 5 years? So we don't have such a hybrid, position, but we'll show you what we've got. Umair, if you could just launch any fund, just click on any name or. So what we do have is right at the top of the performance tab. You can just enter, any rupee amount, and it will show you what the final result is based on the start date of this analysis. Of course, the start date can be very easily changed here. Now, for the SIP, when you run it separately, again, in the SIP tool, as we just showed you, you can obviously get the start and the end and the final value. We don't have a tool where we can do both in one go. But separately, both things are definitely available. So for example, if you hold the sum for 5 years, you can select a start date that is 5 years ago, and you'll get the sum, and you can easily run an SIP analysis for any period of time here. And by the way, to get what you want, you can run a 1 year SIP here, pick the exact start date, maybe 2017 to 2018 or something like that. Take the final value and input that as the start value in the exact fund analysis. So you got 129,991 as the final value. You can then launch Nippon India Pharma Fund and then put a start date of 1st November 2018. So Umair, let's just do that quickly. You could just launch Nippon India Pharma Fund.
Yeah.
And set the start date to 1st November 2018. Okay, and then when we do the we put that value, I think it's 129,991. So this way you can do you can actually get a final answer. Obviously it's a small number because we started with a small SIP. Are there any more questions from anyone? Umair, let's just, there's a question saying, can you quickly explain the compare section? Of course, this is going to be a quick one. So Umair, if you could just go take them through the tabs, maybe a few minutes.
Sure. So this compare section is the section where you can, compare multiple sets of securities. So I'll just give you an example here. Like for an example, you can, add an index. First thing, you can add an entire SEBI category, even the AMCs, if you want to add all the AMCs here. Now here you can, compare all these securities which are added into the system with these parameters. So I will just show you quickly all the parameters. One is the main list. Within the main list, what you can do is you can actually see the return columns for any particular set of 1 month, 3 months, 6 month, 1 year. And here you can also have your own start date. So let's say you want to have a start date of 2019, which is when you click on it, you will see the CAGR, the cumulative, and even the standard deviation from that particular start date. We also have the relative column where you can see the relative column by Nifty 50. You can choose, or in this case Nifty Pharma, because we have funds from the pharma category. You can easily calculate them up. You can see the alpha generated by these funds against Nifty Pharma. You can see some relative stats and also the holding stats here for the pharma funds. So let's say holdings of large cap, mid cap, and small caps. So these are all given in the main list, which is easily there to compare. There is a rolling analysis which helps you to understand, on a rolling basis for a 1 year period. 260 is a 1 year, considered as a 1 year working period in a year. You can choose a start date and end date. You can check what is the rolling average, which gives you an idea that between these two dates, what are the best average rolling returns and what are the best funds which has the positive frequency in the rolling period. So, in this case, Nippon Pharma is one of the highest positive frequency fund for a 1 year period. And you can change the statistic to simple returns and point to point to see the differences between non-compounding and compounding effects. Whereas also you can check the rolling return distribution. So a very simple, idea here is, let's say you have a client who wants to know that between 20% to 30%, which fund has the highest frequency for backtesting between a 1 year period. So this is a 1 year period, 260 given here. And you can see the frequency between 20 to 30 is pretty minimal for every single fund and also the indices. So these all things you can take a look towards rolling analysis. Then we also have the calendar year comparisons between the funds. You can compare, for let's say a scenario of 2018, only one fund was positive. Like 2015, like you can see, only one fund has pretty much of a good returns, and you can even compare it with an index. So as an index, I can add more index if I want and compare. We have already talked about monthly SIP, which talks about the comparisons of the XIRR and the final value with the start and the end date. You can change the start and end date and compare the XIRRs for any particular set of a fund with an installment. And then we have the risk versus return. So risk in return gives an idea of, like, let's say for an example, this is an index of Nifty Pharma, whereas these others, which are also pharma funds, have a pretty much of a low risk and a higher return against Nifty Pharma. So it's a pretty relative concept. What we do here is, the risk is the standard deviation, the return is the returns, annualized return generated by the fund between these two periods. So you can change it as it is point to point. Once you change it, you will see some change in the figures here, but you will definitely see the quadrant remain the same as long as you have funds, and you do not remove the funds. So here is this, risk versus return. We do have position overlap and correlation. Now this is useful to, understand the overlap between the securities overlap between the two funds. For an example, Nippon Pharma versus SBI Healthcare, they definitely have a very high overlap. You click on it, you will see these are the stocks and securities which are overlapping between the funds. Now this is more useful when you add portfolios rather than, a single category, mutual funds. So as an example, I'll just add a normal portfolio here, a model portfolio. So once I add a model portfolio, or any client portfolio, as a matter of fact, you can see you can add portfolios from here easily. It should be saved in a system, or it should be from your RTA. So you can easily run a positional overlap between the two funds. Like a balance advantage versus emerging blue chip is having a 35% overlap. So that's one thing you should look towards, that either you keep one of them in the portfolio or not. So this is one useful thing. And then we have the correlation, which shows you, that the between the behavior of the two NAVs, basically the price momentum of the two mutual funds, which are highly correlated. So you can see HDFC hybrid debt and balance advantage is highly correlated. High correlation basically is closer towards one, like 0.9195. A lower correlation is something like this, like a quant versus a Mirai asset. So you can see in the left side quant, and in the upper side Mirai asset emerging blue chip. So you can easily get that, what kind of diversification is there in this entire set of funds, if we are considering this fund as a model portfolio, and are we diversifying things up for the client portfolio or not. Then we have these four tabs, which is, the performance tab, which efficiently you can change any particular date set. You can, take it from 2019 till 2022, and you can see the performance between, the funds and even the index. So if I add a Nifty TRI, Nifty 500 TRI, I can check that for a performance tab here itself. And within that, you can screenshot this if you want to use this as an, performance. We also have point to point. This is useful to, compare a particular set of uh, scenarios. Like for an example, I want to know between 2017 till 2018, like what has been the return on an absolute or on an annualized basis. So I can see the absolute return, for a 1 year absolute return is these. I can analyze this up and I can see the annualized return. So basically you can see that for any particular set of a date, you can see the comparisons, a point to point comparison, and save it in a data set. We have bulk download, which helps you to download all the current holdings of the 10 funds which you are added, and the last 12 months, which Arunabh sir has clearly explained, that how you can compare the monthly return details with the average monthly return, the best monthly return, the worst monthly return, and the annual volatility for that particular period. So that's basically it for the compare section. And you can easily create a exportable PowerPoint if you want, if you are taking a consideration of these funds. So that's basically the quick overview of the compare section.
Okay, we have a question saying, do we consider allocation to gold or silver? So basically, we have generally speaking some overview in terms of equity, debt, derivatives, etc. Direct exposure to gold isn't something that we show separately. Do you have a particular fund that that you were thinking of, and we can check it out right now? Mr. Prakash Shah. Sure. So, okay. So, yeah, gold ETFs and gold fund investments will obviously, on our side show as mutual funds because, that's the type of security they are. So we don't, when we're looking at asset allocation, and if a particular mutual fund has invested into gold ETFs, they are not categorized as gold. They're going to be categorized as, funds. And that's the reason that you see that we don't look at what's inside that mutual fund and then apply that to the asset allocation on top of that. Here, for example, when you actually load the ETF, you can see that there is a gold exposure that's shown. Now, but if you have a fund that is invested into this fund, then it's not going to show the insides of one of its securities. So here, for example, you can see there's a 98.3% gold investment, which is clearly showing in the asset allocation. The time that it won't show is if you have a mutual fund that has then further invested into this ETF. Then it will just show as a fund or other, because then we don't open up every single mutual fund holding within a mutual fund, because then it becomes a second level investment. So currently you can only see it if they're directly holding gold. And the other issue with that is that if we start opening up mutual fund holdings of mutual funds, then that, as you can imagine, that level can keep going. For example, in an equity mutual fund, which may have exposure to some other equity mutual funds, then we'll have to open up the second level equities inside that mutual fund holding and then create the asset allocation from there. So currently we just look at the top level, and if they're directly holding gold, it will show up like this. If they're not and they're holding gold through a gold mutual fund investment, then it will show up as a mutual fund, because our mutual fund could be anything. Any other questions from anyone?
नहीं
yeah.
आता हाँ आया
Hello, is there a question from someone? Okay, if there's nothing else, Umair, we can go ahead and close up for today.
Sure. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending this session. We will come again with a new topic, with something interesting. So thank you, everyone, and have a nice weekend.